Hello and welcome to Geoscope on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Nice to have you here. I'm sorry, Ollie's not with us at the moment. He's stuck in traffic, so I thought I'd get the show started without him at the moment. But as soon as he joins us, I will be leaping over to the other screen and getting Ollie to join him at the conversation. But until then, hello to Vendetta and to Chris and to Hannah and to Pete's Music. Who else have we got in the chat as well? One Angry Pagan is in the chat. Hello. And Al Roan is there, and Richard and others. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do, hit the subscribe button, wait for 1 minute, and you can join the conversation. So we're going to talk about Sudan today, not exclusively. We will be talking about other stuff, but we'll start with Sudan. There's a lot of stuff to get through, really. What I want to do is take us back to how we got here, how we got to the Sudan of today. Before the 20th century, the region was shaped by ethnic, tribal, and trade networks. It was a diverse political landscape. It was a crossroads from the peoples of sub-Saharan Africa and the Arab traders and the Berbers of North Africa. It was a place where they could come together. It was along the Nile that Khartoum was founded. And indeed, the ancient Egyptian civilization did stretch down as far as the Meroe pyramids and beyond in Sudan. That's how south it went. The Meroe pyramids. Sudan famously has more pyramids than Egypt, but they're a lot smaller. Into all this comes the Anglo-Egyptian rule of 1899, which went on until about 1956, which entrenched uneven developments across the country, privileging Khartoum, the capital, over the peripheries like Darfur and South Sudan. And the underlying seeds of what's happening today was established in that time, in that 57 years. Ethnic hierarchy was institutionalized in the same way that the Belgians did this in Rwanda, where they said you're a Hutu, you're a Tutsi, even though some people weren't. They just looked that way. The same things. They excluded the places on the edge of the country from power, from resources. Now, in 56, Sudan became independent, and then there was a cycle of coups, civil wars, and marginalization of non-Arab countries from 1956 to 2011. Sudan has historically not gone on very well with its neighbours. For instance, there's a road that goes from Wadi Halfa in the north of Sudan to Aswan in the south of Egypt. But the road is very rarely open. The Sudanese are really funny about whether the border's open or not. It often isn't. Obviously, now at the border with South Sudan, that's somewhere you shouldn't ever go anywhere near. The border with Ethiopia, it's kind of open, yeah, but it's difficult. I.e., getting a visa for Sudan from Egypt when I was traveling took a couple of hours. It was a big faff, but it only took a couple of hours. Whereas getting a visa, if you're in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, and you're trying to go to Khartoum, you're trying to go to Sudan, you'll end up waiting weeks, 6 weeks. I've heard some people have had to wait. I didn't have to wait that long, but I still had to wait quite a while to get my visa. And it was going to the embassy every single day and saying, please, will you just give me this bloody visa so I can get home? From 1955 to 72, and then from 1983 to 2005, there were long civil wars, mainly between Northern Arab dominated government and the Southern groups, which are more Christian and animist. And then in 1989, there was the Omar al-Bashir coup, in which this Islamist military dictatorship really began. In 2003, the Darfur region, which is out to the west of the country, began uprising against the neglect by the state. The money seemed to just all be pouring into the capital city, Khartoum, benefiting Muslims and not necessarily benefiting people living out on the western fringes of the country, and also the south. This is when South Sudan was still part of Sudan, don't forget. And Khartoum's response to this uprising was to supply arms and to deploy what they called the Janjaweed militias, which were sent out to crush the rebellion. And from 2003 to the present day, we have seen mass killings. We've seen rape as a weapon of war. We've seen villages burned. We've seen systematic ethnic targeting in places like Masalit and others. Over 300,000 people have been killed, most of them butchered. millions displaced in what the UN quite rightly calls a genocide. In 2011, South Sudan broke away, became its own country, but Darfur was still lumped with the rest of Sudan. And in 2013, Janjaweed became the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, under the command of a guy called Mohammed Hamdan Del Gallo, whose nickname is Hementi. And the RSF gained wealth and autonomy. They control gold mines. They do foreign mercenary work. They're particularly linked with the United Arab Emirates. So anyone you know who's going to Dubai is probably indirectly funding this militia group. Builds businesses and patronage networks within Sudan, and it has developed into a state within a state, effectively. So in 2018, 2019, there was a big mass civilian uprising against al-Bashir, the dictator. And, Ollie's just turned up. Hello. Speak of the devil. Hello. Sorry, I'm just boring everyone to death with the history of Sudan. I'm nearly at the end of it. And then Ollie.
Was stuck in traffic.
It's okay, mate. It's okay. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. But it's always good to have Ollie Bowlerhatman on the show. Hello, Ollie. Yeah, so I was just explaining about the history, a little bit of a potted history of Sudan and why we ended up being here. So what happened is Bashir used the RSF for his own means, because it was a way of being able to have a military that went out and did horrific things to the population without having to actually take responsibility for it, because it's a bit like the Wagner Group in Russia. Well, they're not the army. They're not the army. They're mercenaries. Who can control them? Well, maybe if you didn't give them so much money, they wouldn't be able to do what they do. Anyway, the Bashir regime was eventually, or Bashir himself was eventually removed in April of 2019 by the RSF and the actual army of Sudan. Not purely civilian power. Got rid of him. This was all triggered by economic crisis and a deep frustration with his dictatorship. And then from 2019 to 2022, there was a power sharing deal between the civilian population and the military. However, the SAF, the Sudanese Armed Forces, and the RSF, they retain the real power. And then in October of 2021, the SAF and RSF jointly overthrew the civilian transitional government, and any hopes for a democratic future was crushed. And then in April 2023, the power struggle exploded, which you could all see coming a mile away. War begins between the SAF and the RSF. And fighting started in Khartoum, and the RSF rapidly advanced across Darfur, which they currently control. Between 2023 and 2024, there was documented massacres in Darfur, particularly against Masalit communities in El-Jinniya, and the RSF consolidated power across Western Sudan. And then in 2024 and to this year, we've seen a humanitarian collapse. Both sides, the army and the RSF, have both obstructed aid. They have starved their own civilians. The local mutual aid volunteers have become a primary lifeline for most people. The UN has underfunded the area. The US cuts, the US aid cuts have completely crippled any grassroots network. There's over 12 million people displaced at the moment, which is the largest displacement of any people anywhere in the world right now. And an historic famine has happened this year, which has led to children dying in large numbers. The RSF began the siege of el-Fasher, an last army stronghold in Darfur. They started this siege 2 years ago, and just last month the city fell after this 18-month siege. And in the aftermath, civilians were killed, hunted down, mass executions, random killings, rape, torture, starvation. There was 460 people murdered in a maternity hospital. And now the RSF controls most of Darfur. The SAF controls most parts of Khartoum and the east. The RSF have got half the country, the western half, pretty much. And the SAF have got the eastern half of the country. Both are obstructing aid. Both are implicated in atrocities. Sudan is fragmented. It's starving. It's traumatized. This is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world. And it is also the one with the least attention, because fuck all people know about it. Anyway, so there you go, Ollie. That's the potted history of where we are in
Yeah.
Sudan. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so how are you?
I'm all right, apart from, like I said, being stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm all right.
Right. Well, look, so like I say, this is one of the worst humanitarian crises on earth, and I can't see any way out of this, because it's not like if the army win, everything's going to be great, or if the RSF win, everything's going to be great. It's going to be awful no matter who wins, because they're both guilty of crimes against humanity. And you got these two factions that are basically like, football teams that people support one or the other.
And this is once again where we come to the question of, what's the UN doing? Again.
Sodor. Again?
I think this is generally a question that is now repeatedly cropping up time after time after time. After we've seen this, after seeing what's gone in Gaza, after seeing what's going on, now in here. Where's the UN? Where is the UN to step in? Yeah. Where's their, authority? What's the UN gonna do? You can make, a pretty speech in the UN about this, but okay, what are you gonna actually do about it, UN? That's sort of the reason why the UN exists.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult, I think, to reform the UN, because it's very much something of everyone's going to be on board.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen.
And exactly, it's not going to happen.
No. Well, the UN was built to be, it was sabotaged a long time ago, probably when China was asked to join instead of Taiwan. That was where the UN really started falling apart. And then, having a Security Council with the USSR on it, and America, and now it's Russia because they retained the USSR seat. None of the other CIS republics did. Yeah. Imagine if Ukraine had retained that power. Imagine if Ukraine go, no, we'll keep the permanent seat on the Security Council. We'll keep that from the USSR. Or Georgia, they could say, well, Stalin was born in I was about to say Yorkshire there. Stalin was born in Yorkshire. No, Stalin was born in Georgia. So you could say, well, actually, maybe they should have had the seat. But no, it went to Russia.
Just to bring up something else someone's bringing up in chat, foreign aid. You're all right. The UK did cut its foreign aid budget, but so too did a lot of other countries as well.
Yeah. So what do you expect? What do you think is going to happen? But to have a UN Security Council, that's the 5 permanent members are the UK, France, both nuclear powers. The US never going to vote for anything that's anti-capitalist. China not going to vote for anything that's like anti-authoritarian, and Russia's going to vote for anything that's anti-corruption. Like the chances of the UN actually doing something decent these days is rapidly diminishing, and they've got I don't blame the UN necessarily. They've got their arms tied behind their back. They definitely have, but what can you do? But the thing is that I wanted to highlight tonight is the fact that there's arms that are being funneled through the UAE, through Chad, under the guise of field hospitals or something, right? And this is coming from Dubai. This is coming from Abu Dhabi. This is madness. This is sort of one of the richest regions in the world, powered by slavery, modern slavery, and they're doing and they're funding the RSF. And here's the thing. Someone said, oh, we need to live in a world where there's no religion, right? Okay, that would be great, right? But the RSF and the Sudanese army are both killing Muslims as well. It's not like this, it's ethnic cleansing and no one else is getting caught in the crossfire. They are just killing people willy-nilly because they just like killing. This is like gangs of psychopaths going out and just being able to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And as one angry pagan said, the bloodstains from the slaughter in el-Fasher can be seen from fucking space.
Nope.
This isn't good versus evil. This is evil versus evil, and people getting crushed under these giants fighting on the playground.
This is another case of where, ironically, in a case, should we be asking the question of, do we need the world policeman?
Yes.
I mean, Trump's doing all this. Trump's not going to go and help anyone out in this case, but
he's going to go into Nigeria. I think he's going to declare war on Nigeria this week.
He wants Nigeria now, does
he? Because Muslims are killing Christians in in Nigeria, but you know that Christians kill Muslims as well. In fact, in Nigeria, more Muslims are killed by Christians than Christians are killed by Muslims. Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, this is an interesting case. Should we try and reclaim the world policeman's crown?
yeah,
Maybe,
yeah. Diz is asking, where's the African Union? It's a good question as well, but they've had a lot of their power taken away, and
it doesn't
there's
have any,
something we haven't
exactly. It doesn't have
mentioned.
any power.
With something else we haven't mentioned as well, it's Wagner Group. The Wagner Group have been causing instability in this entire region for years now, and no one's done anything about it. Hardly anyone's highlighting it, and people are dying, and they're doing it on purpose.
Pillaging their way through Africa.
Yeah, they're doing it on purpose to create refugees. That is their mission. They go to an African country, they destabilize it, they cause power breakdowns, they cause coups, they cause military uprisings, all this kind of shit, because they want people to lose their homes, they want people to live in fear of their lives, and then flee to Europe, where those same refugees can be used as pawns in this game of authoritarian chess, where we start voting for authoritarians because we're so scared of these people coming from these other countries who are going to come and kill us or take our jobs or, whatever the fuck they're going to do. Like, this is so clear and evident. This is the plan that Putin has had for years, and it's working. It's absolutely working.
I can't believe, I don't know if people remember this. You remember when, of course, Syria fell, and then there's the big question about the Russian base in Syria, because all the Russian troops hightailed it back to the base and basically hunkered down.
Yeah.
Like, what's going to happen here? Apparently now the Syrian government has said that Russian base can stay there.
Yeah.
So I am quite surprised. I am very, very surprised that had happened, because I think if you had a proper US president, given everything that's been going on in Ukraine, an actual real US president would have gone to the powers that be in Syria and gone, right, we will help you out economically if you say no to that Russian base, if you kick the Russians out, because that disrupts so many Russian supply operations, Russian transport operations to try and get into Africa.
Yeah.
That Syrian base is pretty much the jump off point for all of the operations for Wagner.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good point. Really good point. Well, the limited sanctions have been placed on the perpetrators of these atrocities. There's no international police force or protection force. Media silence compared with Gaza or Ukraine. And then you've got the UN agencies, which are, as we mentioned, fucking hamstrung. Underfunding, bureaucracy. And the UAE has apparently continued the ties with the RSF. They haven't severed them yet. And the world, debates border crossings instead of stopping arms routes, stopping them getting the weapons that they're using to kill civilians. And, Sudan needs immediate humanitarian access, not political games. It needs protection for civilians and aid workers, funding restored to local Sudanese mutual aid networks. And also, there needs to be international accountability for the war crimes going on. But where America won't sign up to any kind of international Nuremberg trial style thing, at The Hague, we're hamstrung again. And then there's pressure on foreign states. We need to put pressure on foreign states that are fueling armed groups. And when you've got people like Isabel Oakridge shit fucking putting stuff on Twitter saying how great Dubai is, like we should be more like Dubai. I'll read you for the people at home. I'll read you what she wrote, because she's a fucking nutter.
Yeah, I mean, why you find that? I mean, Dubai is just absolutely the epitome of pure wealth, opulence, and debauchery. Yes. It really is. It is just a city that was raised out of a desert purely based on money
and slavery,
on oil money, and
exploitation of Indian workers who get taken over there, and Filipino workers, and Burmese workers. They get taken over there, and then they get their passport taken off them, and they have to work until they're allowed to have their passport back. Obviously, that doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens to enough people to make it all a bit grim.
Yeah,
Oops, sorry.
it is an insane country when you think about how small it is, about how much wealth it has, just because it
Yeah,
has all that oil.
yeah.
And yet it promotes and has promoted some of the worst,
Yeah.
Foreign policy, you know,
Yeah.
travel of the world,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
It's
So
terrible.
this was a tweet, right? There was a guy called Hassan Saj who posted, "I say something, but people will not like it. But let me say anyways, the UK should learn from the UAE when it comes to safety, security, and protecting its people." Okay. And then Isabel Oakshit says, "I said," this is as a reply, "I say it loud and often in newspapers, on TV, to anyone who will listen. Reform Party UK certainly knows what the UAE does well." To which our friend Otto English responded, "The UAE, where hugging in public can get you arrested, where human rights barely exist, where foreign workers are routinely abused, where critics of the regime routinely disappear, where an Indian nanny was shot dead by a firing squad in March, and where marital rape is not a criminal offence, but being gay is." What a place! What a place! What a place. And just to remind people, in UAE, you can go to jail for adultery. Tell me, Ollie, who is the boyfriend of this Isabel Oakshit creep?
Oh, well, it's Richard Tice, isn't it?
Richard Tice. So Isabel Oakshit, privately educated, of course, and Richard Tice, privately educated, of course, are living in sin in where? Where do they live?
Dubai.
They live in Dubai. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me hang on. Isn't Richard Tice a British MP? What the fuck is he doing living in Dubai? What? How does that work? I think someone needs to inform the authorities that these people are living in sin, that they are committing adultery, which is sex outside of marriage, no matter how, whatever, they regard it as adultery.
Yep.
Not when they do it, when they pick up a Filipino prostitute from, one of the clubs in town. That's fine. That's fine. Allah doesn't see that. That's Allah's blind spot. Yo. But yeah, so this Sudanese crisis is being fueled by so many different factors going on in the world at the same time. And like I said, when the Tory government under Rishi Sunak, I might have been before Rishi Sunak actually.
Yeah, it was Boris.
Was it Boris Johnson was cutting down?
Theresa May started it. Yeah. Boris Johnson continued it.
They were cutting foreign aid down from 0.7% of a GDP to like 0.5% or something like that. So they were cutting it massively by hundreds of millions of pounds. And I said at the time, this is going to cause more horrible shit to happen around the world. Nigeria, Venezuela, Sudan, Gaza, Eritrea. This is what happens when we don't invest. This is what happens when we just turn our back on not our responsibility necessarily, but on the rest of the world. This protectionism, this nativism, this, isolationism that is very popular on the right. Except when it isn't. Like, why are Trump voters thinking that he's this big peace bringer, and then he's off saying that he's going to bomb?
He's not.
He's going to bomb some people in Nigeria. He's busy bombing boats outside of Venezuela with no oversight. The media aren't allowed to know. They're not allowed to find out. There's no dispatchers coming out of the Pentagon. All the big news organizations have left the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want some good news?
Yeah, Dick Cheney's dead.
Woohoo! Yeah, Dick Cheney's dead.
Was that going to be your good news?
Yeah, that was going to be the good news.
Dick dead. Dead Dick.
Yeah, I mean...
Celebrations across Afghanistan and Iraq tonight.
You've got to... I think people have to sort of understand, really. Dick Cheney was really the key and the cornerstone of like the entire, not only the Bush White House, of like the power that he had. Certainly after 9/11, it was unbelievable that the power that Cheney had in the White House. If you read about all the books from that time, from people who were in there,
yeah,
and that was stuff that he did and got away with. And of course, remember the time he shot someone?
Oh yeah, he did shoot someone, didn't he?
Yeah.
Whoopsies. He
Yeah,
thought he was a
they were just out
grouse. He had
hunting.
a friend and he thought, oh, you look like a grouse. And so he shot
Yeah.
him. And then he put his glasses on. He went, I'm sorry, old chap, didn't realise you weren't a grouse.
Yeah.
Or a pheasant or whatever rich people shoot. Beautiful animals that don't need to be dead. Don't go hunting with Dick Cheney, says.
Yeah.
It is funny that there was a Dick, there was a Bush. And also there was a guy called Colin who called himself Colon. That's a bit weird, wasn't it? That was a strange time to realise. He had an arsehole.
It's getting dangerously close to a Spaceballs joke.
A dick and a total C unit. I can't swear because I had no super chat, so I don't swear in case we don't get any money at all from this stream. But yeah, so yes, all we need now is for Trump to kick the bucket. Chris, yes, there's several other people, but Dick Cheney was 84. Trump is still 79, unfortunately. Yep. So he might have a little bit left in the tank, unfortunately, which makes me sad. Dick Cheney's role in the war on terror may have paved the way for Trumpism, says.
Yeah, I mean, well, not just that, but if you look at like the destabilization of Syria, Iraq, ISIS, all that came from from the war in Afghanistan, from the war in Iran. And there's a lot of, what if questions. What if, rather than going to war, they'd done like, I don't know, a targeted strike and got rid of like, Osama bin Laden. What then would have happened, during things like the Arab Spring in like Iraq?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of, revolutions happen. A lot of the the leaders and politicians there had to make a lot of liberal choices, ones they didn't want to do, but after seeing especially what happened in like Libya, which again you are still seeing the consequences of today, of that, Syria, still after all this time, again still fingers crossed, hopefully this sort of comes to some sort of relative peace in Syria for the first time in over a decade.
Yeah.
Since where are we now? We're almost a year really since Assad fled off to Russia, I think at this point.
That's more than a year, yeah. It's a year since Trump was elected. It's a year on Thursday.
Yeah, over more than a year of that. So I really do hope that Syria does, really does come to some sort of peace. It might not be the most perfect, infallible peace, but after 10 years of civil war, sometimes, a bad peace is a good peace. And the thing is about a bad peace, it can be built upon. It can be made better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I hope happens for Syria, that there is a building now of the country, a rebuilding of it, and that they can once again come back together, as a people, because Syria is a country of a lot of different peoples and even religions.
Another crossroads of civilization. And also it's got the Crac de Chevalier, it's also got Palmyra. It's also got some amazing Roman remains. It's got Greek remains. It's got obviously Arabic remains over the years, and it's a really, really fascinating country. Great food. Not quite as good as Lebanon for food. I'm sorry. I'm a bit of a Lebanon snob when it comes to this, but the food's pretty good in Syria, and it's another place. And you know what? Compared with Egypt and Turkey and some places where lots of tourists went, before this all kicked off, before the Arab Spring and everything, Syria was a remarkably safe place for tourists. But then again, I mean, that came at a price because it was a dictatorship. So people weren't going to step out of line in case they were taken away in the middle of the night along with their families. But the UN Secretary General has spoken tonight or today. And Antonio Guterres, and he said that the civil war is spiraling out of control. And it is mad because you would think that it might be like Muslims on one side and they're fighting against the animists, they're fighting against the Christians and other religions on the other side. And not. It's one Muslim army and another Muslim paramilitary group, and they're fighting each other. And they're both committing genocide against groups of people. And yeah, more than 150,000 people have been killed, 14 million displaced. They're the statistics.
Yep.
And yeah, the smoke,
Yeah, and
the blood.
actually, speaking of Turkey, I don't know if you've seen, they are committing to be one of the main suppliers of troops to potential what they're calling a stabilization force.
Yeah.
For Gaza, which I think would actually be quite good. I've said this before. One of the things I would again love to see is, and rather than the IDF there, I would love to rather see an actual UN force, like a proper international sort of peacekeeping force rather than the IDF. I think that would probably help out quite a lot in many ways.
Yeah.
But there has to be like a lot of stuff sorted out between now and then. Like what are they going to be doing while they are there? Namely, of course, the first thing, you can't just put people, just put them on the ground and just tell them, there you go. But that's still going to be sorted out. But I think that could be sorted out relatively quite quickly, in many cases. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and we'll see how it turns out. But it's not. It's still a bit like that. It's still touch and go over there at the moment in Gaza. I was very hopeful that this might somehow hold in a way. But we'll see. Yeah. Once again, as I've said before many, many times on this channel, the worst thing about this whole situation and reason why it is so difficult to achieve peace is you've got right-wing Israeli government and Hamas. Yeah. Always, one of the two pulling and most of the calls of either situation. If not one, it's both of them, or it's one.
Who funds Hamas though? Iran. Who props up Iran? Vladimir Putin.
Yeah,
follow the money. Follow the money every time. Follow the money. Who's paying for it and why? Who's paying for this shit? Who's propping up Israel? The US. They want a war there forever. They just want fighting forever. Because when people are, going out on the streets and demonstrating against what's happening in Gaza, they're not demonstrating against Trump, are they? They're not demonstrating against Nigel Farage or his fascist crew.
Yeah.
They're managing to take up all this activism and political will and political, fuel and throw it in another direction. It's a weapon of mass destruction. It really is. And I'm not trying to underplay the seriousness of what's been happening in Gaza. Obviously, it's fucking absolutely catastrophic. And I'm not playing some stupid game of like, well, what about this place? What about that place? But the reality is that the people with money want to keep us fucking occupied, and they realize at some point that giving us bread and circuses, that was a bit too much, having movies to watch and food to eat. So now they're just giving us constant fucking nightmares. We're living in a world of waking nightmares every day. They scream something in our face for us to be scared about. And they're talking on the radio today on LBC, had people phoning in going, "Oh, in my day, you didn't have all these stabbings." And I'm like, yes, you fucking did, you nutter. We had more serial killers in the 1980s than we ever have before or since. What are you talking about? We don't have any serial killers now. The crime rate, serious offenders, serious stabbings, the figures for all kinds of crimes, and the most serious crime of all, murder, are down compared with what they were for our parents' or grandparents' generations. Like, it's down. Either we're just a bit more chill,
yeah.
or the world's not as bad as people like to make it out to be. But the media and the chuckleheads like Trump
of course.
They want to keep people scared because scared people make bad decisions. Yeah. They know this. This is basic human psychology. Scared people make bad decisions. Unless they're ADHD. And then they go into like very clear, cool-headed process mode, which is unusual for ADHDers because they're not usually in that mode. They're usually in, I don't know, choice paralysis mode or procrastination mode. So actually going into this kind of like very clear-headed, this is what we need to do in an emergency. And I think that's why so many people who are me, who are ADHDers, also have this very sort of strong innate sense of justice, and all the ones I've met so far all absolutely fucking hate Nigel Farage because they can see through him like a fucking window. True story. Anyway, someone wants to send me an email. Yeah, go on to grahamdavidhughes.com and send me an email through there. So you mentioned Turkey. They're working on a canal, aren't they? There's a new canal going to be built between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. Sorry, the Black Sea. I can't get my colours mixed up. And between the Black Sea to make it so they can get more stuff, more ships that don't necessarily need to go through the Bosphorus. But here's the thing: like the Bosphorus is currently controlled by the Montreux Convention, I think it's called, which means that warships aren't allowed to go through without Turkey's say so, which is really fucking handy for stopping World War III, because it means that American ships can't go into the Black Sea, but it also means that Russian ships from outside the Black Sea that are not built in the Black Sea can't get round to that port.
This is again why that base in Syria kind of important.
Yeah. Base in Syria.
I am still shocked they've allowed that base back. I'm gonna have to do, I think, some more reading into that.
Yeah.
To like see fully what the justification of it is. But considering the fact that the Russians themselves played a very big part in the Syrian civil war, especially supporting Assad, a lot of it bombing civilians. I am very, very surprised they have allowed them back. Very, very surprised indeed.
Yeah.
Because there is no love for Russia in Syria. So it's very, very did surprise me when I heard about that. But
the canal, the new canal, is because of the Montreux Convention that civilian ships get free passage through the Dardanelles, through the Bosphorus. If they put this canal in, they can charge people for pilotage, which is what they do in the Panama Canal. It's what they do in the Suez Canal. Fucking hell, they make a lot of money. They make so much money. The ship I was on, 24 hours late getting to where it's supposed to be at the beginning of the Suez Canal, and they had to pay an extra $27,000 for being a day late for their pilotage. Do you imagine that? Like what you've got to pay in the first place? That was just the extra on top because you were a day late. And they work it out, and it's usually worked out as a little bit cheaper than going around the Horn or the Cape, going around the Cape of Good Hope, or going around the Horn of the Cape Horn, Cape of Good Hope or Cape Horn. Either one. Bit of a bastard to go all the way around those places, especially off the south coast of South America, because that's where the Pacific meets the Atlantic, and I think there's about a meter difference in sea level. So when they meet, they go crazy. You can resolve to live your life with integrity, says Thomas. Let your credo be this: let the lie come into the world, let it even triumph, but not through me. That was said by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Maybe I can't pronounce that, but never mind. Wearing denim on denim is the greatest crime of all. Yeah.
That's just terrible. Why? This is what you need to wear. Wizard robes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, when we just talk about Sudan, I think it's worth raising people's awareness of Sudan and what's happening there, but also the awareness that they are being funded, and they're being funded by the UAE, and someone should be talking about this. I don't know if anyone's brought this up in Parliament, but they fucking should. They fucking should. And all these British twats going over to UAE because you don't have to pay tax in the UAE. I'm leaving to the UAE. I get exit tax, 50% of everything. Exit tax. That's it. You want to lose half your shit? Fine, leave the country. Leave half your shit in this country. Yeah. One of the unfortunate things about being having a British passport is they can't take off the British passport unless you've got another one. So you need a passport for another country. So what I would do, right, if I was in charge, Ollie, is I'd secretly have words with the government of, let's say Malta or somewhere, and say, listen, if you want to offer British passport holders a Maltese passport for £1 million, right, we're not going to stop you. We're actually going to facilitate that a little bit. And you get to a point where, say, like 50,000 millionaires have bought these golden passports for another country that you've helped facilitate. And then at that moment, you say, right, we're going to take half your money off you, or we're going to take your British passport off you. And they go, you can't do that. And we go, yes, you can. Yes, we can. You're only allowed to not take a passport off someone if they only have one passport. If they have two passports, one from two different countries, then you can take the passport off them. Which is what we did to Begum, the girl who went off to fight with ISIS. We took her passport off her because we said that she's got one for Bangladesh, which she doesn't, but we said that she did. I hope Charlie Mullins stays in Dubai for good. He's quite blonde, Charlie Mullins. I don't think he'll do too well in the 50-degree heat of the desert. So yeah, Ollie, we've only got 15 minutes left before we have to shunt everyone over to, we don't have to, but we will, shunt everyone over to Max's stream. We've got obviously the elections tonight, a lot of them in America.
Oh, yes, a lot of elections in America.
Do you want to talk about them for a little bit?
Yeah, so two big ones. You've got two governor races happening. One is for Virginia, and it's not, is it Georgia? Or New Jersey? Can't remember. It's one of the two. I know Virginia is. I can't remember the name of the other one. So that's a big one. The fact that you've got two very, very big pro-Trump MAGA Republicans trying to defend their seats over in America. Looks like, looking at the polls, they may very well lose.
It's New York, New Jersey, and Virginia. It looks like the Democrats are just going to fucking absolutely.
Yeah, and Madani, especially in New York, that is going to massively upset Trump. Oh boy, prepare yourself for an absolute
how sad.
Tomorrow.
Never mind.
If Trump, if he wins. Well,
he definitely will win. He will win, but like if he wins by a mile, that'll be so satisfying. I realized
Elon Musk has been at it all day on Twitter, trying to say, look at all these, voting forms. You can vote for Mandani twice on these forms. It's just like, and he's been there's been like stuff about the other. He's just been on it all day. Like, don't vote for Mandani. Don't vote for Mandani. It's just like, what?
He's gonna spend all funding for New York, upset. But New York. I mean, the thing is, it's not New York State; it's New York City. But still, I mean, if the Democrats all get together in New York and say, "Fuck them," we give more to the union than we get off the union. So fuck the union. Like, quiet quit. Just say that's it. We're not going to give any. You're not going to give us any more money.
I think it's going to be very.
We're not going to give you any more money.
I think tomorrow and the following days after could be very interesting in America on that front. But it will be interesting to see what the results of this are going to be, because this is something that I've again talked about on my channel plenty before. Local politics. Yeah. Over here in the UK, it gets ignored quite a bit. In the US, it gets ignored quite a lot. The Democrats have ignored like running for like local offices, governor races. They've sort of ignored that, mayoral races. They've ignored that for years, very much to their own, detriment, because the Republicans haven't in many ways. So it will be interesting to see if this is now a turnaround for that type of politics in, America. The fact that you now want more, bigger interest in having, who's actually sitting in your town hall, who's in your local, state house. That will, I think, be a very good thing if Americans do start to pay more attention to that. So I'm hoping that will be certainly a big turnaround. So that's something that will definitely help get rid of a lot of this Trump MAGA lot. So
there's another big vote as well in California today. We'll probably won't get the results of this till very, very late, because obviously California's on the other coast. But this is a vote for redistricting. They're going to have a special redistricting. It's going to be temporary. They only do it every 10 years when they do the census, but the lawmakers in Texas have done it early for some reason, and they've gerrymandered 5 areas so that the Democrats are going to get 5 more seats in the national government, in the House of Representatives, in the next election. And so in response, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has said, well, fuck you guys. We're going to redraw our maps. So the Democrats get 5 more representatives in the House of Representatives. And they've actually put it to the people, which is more than they did in Texas. So they put it to the people. And apparently Trump has said that he is going to place the redistricting vote under a national review, a very serious legal and criminal review. He said he's saying the unconstitutional redistricting vote in California is a capitals giant scam. In that entire process, in particularly the voting itself, voting has got a capital V for some reason, is rigged, capital letters. All mail-in ballots, where the mail-in in inverted commas, where the Republicans in that state are shut out, inverted commas again, is under very serious legal and criminal review. Capitals, stay tuned. Very serious legal and criminal review. Well, good luck with that, because this is a state law situation. And I love the fact that these Republicans, these MAGA lot, they make Americans grovel again. They're obsessed with state law, aren't they? Because that's their excuse for the Civil War. They say, no, it wasn't about slavery. It was about states' rights.
Yeah, the state's right to do what?
To keep slaves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this could be quite interesting, because obviously, as you may well remember, the government is still shut down, which now brings us, I think we are now the longest government shutdown.
35 days.
Now.
Yeah. It's the longest shutdown.
This will continue for God knows how long. But a lot of the stuff that Trump will want to do, I think he needs Congress for.
Yeah.
So I would not be too surprised if all of a sudden you see Donald Trump and the Republicans actually now start to fold and get Congress back in action. Because if they are going to do anything against like Mindani or again that California proposition or anything like that, they need Congress. They need Congress to act on that.
Yeah.
And Congress ain't in session. The government is shut down because of Trump and the Republicans wanting to strip healthcare away from people, which is why they are losing so much support at the moment on this. That's why I think this, and I think the midterms are going to be quite a disaster, I think, for the Republicans.
Yeah.
And once again, they're going to be put in a position of, well, what do we do? And I was saying this for years. Republicans, you've had your best chance ever to get rid of Trump when he was being impeached, and you did not take it. You could have just thrown him under the bus. You could have got rid of him. And he could have never have been allowed back into politics.
They weren't thinking about They weren't thinking about the best thing for America. They were just thinking about the best thing for their wallets. If anyone wants to try for the Super Chat goal, you got 7 minutes left, just so everyone knows. Because at past, we are going to shunt you over to there's a lot of love coming in the chat for Rapper's Delight, the Sugar Hill Gang. Awesome. Not to be confused with the Anthill Mob, who are the gang, the mobsters in Wacky Races. Thanks to everyone who's been putting in stuff in the chat so far. That is really quite cool. We've also got everyone's talking about Rapper's Delight, to be honest with you. And by the way, guys, my girls, my Movember bandanas and Christmas bandanas will be on sale from tomorrow, says Chris C. So please check that out. And a Mick Reethon is an Irish microwave, says Paul. Cool. Excellent. And Thomas says, the hardest thing to learn in life, which bridge to cross and which to burn, says Bertrand Russell. I try not to burn bridges. Life's too short, isn't it? Don't you think? And you might bump into them again. It'll be awkward. I don't want to feel awkward. But yeah, the Republicans knew exactly what they were doing, mate. I mean, they were all enthralled to the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. They all knew what would happen if Trump got back in, and they were happy about it because it would mean they'll feather their own nests. I mean, it might be the death of them all. Who knows? Who knows what happens in the future? But they say every civilization is 3 meals away from anarchy. And Trump's taking those meals away right now.
Yeah.
And Vimes from Guards Guards, I guess, by Terry Pratchett. I've got a quote here from One Angry Pagan. And so the children of the revolution were faced with the age-old problem. It wasn't that you had the wrong kind of government, which is obvious, but you had the wrong kind of people. Well, yeah, that's kind of true of America, and to some extent to Britain as well. When we wax lyrical,
sage wisdom from Terry Pratchett as always.
Yeah, there's too many people don't want us to join the EU. It doesn't matter that it's less than 50% now. It's still nearly 50%. It's still a lot of people have not learnt a lesson. And you go out and interview these people, you go, or just chat to them at the bus stop or whatever, and they'll say to you, oh, Brexit hasn't worked because it wasn't done properly. And you're like, oh, for God's sake. It's like, oh, the car I made out of a cardboard box won't drive down the motorway like I wanted to because I didn't paint it the right colour. You're like, it would never work. There is no colour you could paint a cardboard fucking car to be able to put it on the fucking motorway. And part of the people says, I'd love to do a super chat, but I don't get paid till Friday. Oh, no! Oh, I don't do a super chat if you're not getting paid, mate. Don't worry about that. Thanks for the shout out, Graham. Greatly appreciated. No, I appreciate you, Chris, because you always tell us the breaking news, which I like, because gets to know there might be something out there that's happening that I don't actually know about. Which is awful. I hate not knowing. So are there any other big news stories around the world before we go? We've got a few minutes.
Yeah. This has sort of come up. There's now a China-Dutch war on chips.
Oh, do you mean chips as in fish and chips, or do you mean as in microchips?
Microchips, basically.
It's not the great fish and chip war between Holland and China. So, Netherlands is one of the few places, isn't it, that make the equipment that makes the chips. Is that right? And they don't sell the equipment to China. Tell us more, Ollie.
So, what essentially they've done is they have actually seized the chip maker called Nexperia. And this is really at the heart of a very, very what is being described as an ongoing dispute.
Who seized it?
The Netherlands.
They've seized. So what? This is a chip maker in the Netherlands.
Yeah. So this is a Chinese company,
and they're making chips in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's a Chinese company in the Netherlands.
Right.
Well, it's a Chinese company. It's a company. I don't think it's a specifically Chinese company, but they were an exporter to China, and so it is headquartered. So it's actually a Chinese company. It's a subsidiary of WingTech Technology,
right. Okay.
Which is a Shanghai company, and they are basically accusing the Dutch of sort of stopping this. The Dutch have gone out and said, right, we think you are interfering in the car industry in some way in this, and they've gone and said we're stopping. We're not going to trade with you anymore. Which is even more interesting because they are now apparently also taking this to the EU as well, trying to get the EU on their side as well. So this could be interesting as well. Because if this chip technology stops being exported to China, that could very, very well hurt their economy on that front. Yeah. China's economy is already a bit, it's not doing that well after those Trump tariffs. So something like this could very, very hurt them quite a lot.
But this is the Chinese have halted exports of Nexperia products, which, airbags, central locking.
Yeah.
For car makers in the EU. Oh, right. Fuck. See,
this is
Trump starts a fucking trade war and it all kicks off around the world because it's all interconnected. No, there's nothing made in one country anymore. It's bits that are taken from one country and then they're put together in another country and then they're put together in something else in another country and then they're programmed in another country. We have got a superb chat from Chris.
Ooh.
Kevin Crossan. Thank you very much for the £2 superb chat. And then there's another chat there from Kieran Crossan. Again, another £2. Thank you very much. We've got 2.5 minutes of the super chat goal. If anyone else wants to throw in a quick super chat, we might just make it. We might just come in under the radar. Before the bell. I need to get a bell to ring. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, wow. I want. Oh, Kieran Crossan. He's saying I, and then once. Okay, what do you want? What do you want, Kieran? Tell us what you want. Davinator says everything is connected to everything else. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it always has been. It absolutely always has been. There was never a time in humanity where, things that happen in one part of the world weren't somehow affecting other parts of the world in some way. And then, yes, some. I want some. Kieran says, I want some. Another super chat there. I'm hoping that Kieran wants some confetti. Is that what you want? Kieran, tell us. You've got us on the edge of the seat. Kieran, what do you want? What do you want? Tell us, Kieran. It'd be funny if Kieran just left it now. Just went home.
Yeah.
But yeah, so trade tensions with the EU and China.
Yeah, so this is again not good. But this
we got it. Confetti. Woo! Thank you so much, Kieran, and thank you for to everyone else as well for enjoying the confetti. There you go. Well done, Kieran. Thank you very much. Okay, so Ollie, what were you saying?
Well, this is obviously not good from a historical standpoint. There's a fantastic book I always recommend, I think, at this point. Again, I don't have it close to hand, unfortunately. No. And it's called The History of Trade. And one of the chapters is all about how a lack of trade or a lack of access to resources has led to war on occasion. And there is a lot of speculation as to why China wants Taiwan, mostly because it's got one of the largest chip factories in the world. Most of the microchips in the world come from Taiwan. And again, China has always claimed, Taiwan to be part of their territory. So yeah. I don't want to say they will invade Taiwan, but
they're going to invade Taiwan. I don't want to say it's aliens, but it's aliens.
Yeah,
if they invade Taiwan, that'd be the maddest thing that any country would ever do. That would be madder than Brexit. It'd be madder than voting for Trump. It'd be madder than voting for Trump twice, because Taiwan has been waiting to be invaded for 70 fucking years. They are ready. Believe me. They are. You think that Russia's getting bogged down in Ukraine? Mate, they had railways going into Ukraine. They had roads going into Ukraine that some other fucker had built. They had bridges and tunnels. The only way to get to Taiwan is over the fucking water. And it's a bit too far to swim. Let's put it that way. Anyway, right. Have you come to collect your Graham, Mrs. H? Says Mr. Tisk. Yeah, Graham. Yeah, my mum's come to pick me up. Okay, so Ollie, I'm going to have to call it a night there because we're a little bit over time, and we do have to let people go and watch our wonderful friend Maximilian on his channel now. He's doing his live stream. If you do us a favour, could you let him know that we sent you over? Say, Graham and Ollie, say hi. That would be really nice of you. If you're going to continue watching, you'll be automatically redirected. You won't have to press anything, do anything. You'll be automatically redirected over to Maximilian's channel. I'll be back at 9 o'clock. No! I'll be back at 12 o'clock. I'll be back at 12 o'clock tonight for a special American special election night stream as the results come in from America. So if anyone wants to join me for that at midnight till about 5 in the morning, you're very welcome to do so. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So until next time, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so when I do specials like I'm doing tonight, you will be notified. Get a little buzz in your pocket to let you know. And,
ring the bell.
Ring the bell. And yeah, like I say, I'll be back tomorrow morning nice and early. And until next time, if you don't want to subscribe, or even if you do, give us a like as well. All of you, even if you've already subscribed, even if you remember, give us a like. And until next time, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.